Hey everybody, how is everyone tonight? Hopefully everything's going okay. Look at that. Got Merlin already. Larry, how are you, buddy? Josh. Well, Josh, thank you. Um, Unfortunately, Nor anchored us this time, finishing in number 4. Corey, Jessica, and I all kind of crashed and burned. Well, Corey and I crashed and burned. Jessica was close. She went 4 and 3. Corey and I were both 3 and 4, I believe. The decks did not play exactly as we thought they would, but we had a great time. It was actually probably one of the more fun events that we've been to so far. Hey, Les 2099. What's going on, man? 48 players showed up, if anyone's wondering. Yeah, Larry, I tell you, I had so much fun at that event, even though it was really, really loud in there. Hey, Bolts and Blade, how are you? Merlin says, that's the overpowered creed. Decks don't play as you think they will. You got that right. But you sure had a good one. You took it to me in, what was that, round 4? Round 5? I had a really hard time. Yeah, John, sorry you didn't make it, man. I heard about your flight. Really would have loved to have had you there. Hey, Charlie, tell Spencer we said hi. Raven, John, buddy, how are you? Yep, we did. Thank you. Got there and back. Hey, Sean, how are you? Doug, good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Deck would have been Sherlock, Victory, Joan, and Cthulhu. I like it. Lawrence. Merlin says, yeah, my deck played well. I was not unhappy. I don't think I was ever really in the game against you. You kind of controlled that whole game. Josh says, I was so excited to see all the names in the top 8. You know what? I'm going to be honest with you, Josh. We all 4 left Columbus thinking we had really strong decks, and we thought we would do a whole lot better than we did. But the competition was tough. There were no easy games. My very first game against Zach, after 3 hands, I think he ventured for the win. And I managed to claw back and win that game. And then I was playing Patrick. The same thing happened. I don't remember if that was round 2 or round 3. He was venturing for the win. And then I managed to pull it out and come back and win. I don't think there was any game that I was just controlling all the way through. Eric, how are you, buddy? Sorry we missed you. Merlin says 5 out of 7 wins were absolute victories, complete venture and KO. Wow, that's awesome. James, how are you? What do you think was your downfall in your deck this go round? We're going to get into that a little. It just, against Diego, I drew 2 dupes in the first hand. The second hand, I duped again, and then I overplayed the third hand. So that was a well-deserved loss. My deck just totally crapped out on me the first 2 hands, and then the third hand, I tried to make up for too much too fast. I should have played for a 4th hand. And that one's on stream, and you'll be able to see the mistakes that I made. Larry says he went 4 and 3, and his first loss was to Nor. Wow, that's awesome, Larry. Good job. Sarah Martin. Phil is no longer with us, sorry to say. I guess you've been out for a while, but passed away in a car accident a couple months ago now. Merlin, no easy games, that's for sure. I almost got rattled by some very close ones. I'm glad you stuck to it, Merlin. Ricky, how are you, buddy? thanks for joining us tonight. Congratulations. We're so proud of you. 10-0. That was amazing. I think you beat Jessica. Was she the only one of the Columbus players that you faced? Doug says, very tough competition for sure. Josh, the undefeated of Tulsa, arrives. Yes, sir. Ricky had a great regional. The Regional 4 champ has arrived, says Lawrence. Traveling Goof. Congrats all, and good seeing everyone this weekend. Congrats to the champ. And Goof, thanks for setting up that Friday night event at the Philly Game Shop. That was fun. We all got together, hung out for a little while. We ended up with 12 or 13 guys showed up for that. It was a very, very nice store once again, and they were very, very nice. What? Merlin opened my boxes from the prize pool. Still no ultra rare foils. How many boxes did you win? 3? I know Nor didn't get one out of his 2 boxes. His 2 boxes were like terrible, terrible, terrible. No ultra rare foils, and I think one box might have only had 2 ultra rares in it total, but it was not good. Larry says, Eric, where were you? Were you there Saturday? No, Eric wasn't there. Doug said we had 16 total on Friday. That was awesome. 3 boxes, plus I had a 4th that LRG owed me. 4 boxes and no foils. That's awful. Stefan says, congratulations, Ricky. Couldn't have happened to a better guy. Well, I don't know. You're stretching a little bit there, Stefan, but Ricky's okay. Ricky's definitely one of my favorites. What? Who am I kidding? You're all my favorites. Merlin says, I have opened 11 and a half boxes so far and no ultra rare foils at all. Whoa. It seems boxes come in batches of all hits or very few, says James. Well, I'll tell you what, Merlin, when you come for the Nats, maybe we'll just sit down, you and me, and we'll open a case, a sealed case, and see what happens. What do you think? Ricky says, thank you all. I was able to take out Nora in second round of single limb. Yeah, that was a close game. When he ventured 4 in the first hand, it's like, I forgot about that game. So you beat Jessica and Nor. I thought he had you. I think, from what Corey said, he kind of overplayed the second hand maybe by venturing 3. But Joe says, Ricky was fueled by cheesesteak. He should really be sponsored by Cheese Whiz. Well, Eric, we sure missed you. We had 48 players total, and there's a couple guys who were supposed to be there and didn't make it. John, his flight got canceled and couldn't be there, and Derek got sick at the last minute. But it would have been great if they'd have been there, but it was still a really good time. Missed y'all. Merlin says, sounds fun. We'll put it on camera with a special guest. I like the sound of that. Hey, Thomas, how are you? Ricky does strike me as a whiz. Congrats on 10-0. Thomas and Joe both finished 5-2 and didn't make the top 8 cut. That was hard. So harsh. So Thomas ends up with the most top 8 finishes with 3. I think Corey and Phil Keffer and somebody else I think had 2. Did Marcel have 2? He's not in the chat yet. We'll see. Josh says, Doug, are you bringing an entire case to wherever they're holding the Nats? Josh, I will have an entire case at the Nats. Oh, Josh, you got to get out more, brother. If you'd have been there in Philly, the whole weekend, all anybody was talking about was the Nats. Well, almost the only thing. So there's going to be a major announcement this week. I've been promised from 4 different people at LRG. The Nats will be announced this week. Ricky says, yeah, Nora only placed 3 cards, I think, so I was good running when he bet 4, as I knew I'd have card advantage going forward. Yeah, and you never gave it up. And that's what he was saying afterwards. He just couldn't get you to play those place cards. John says, Sean, you had the worst box pulls ever. Sorry, man. Better luck next box. You should get 3 ultra rare foil box. That would be sweet. I've never seen one of those, but that'd be great. James says, out of 5 different batches of boxes I've seen, 3 seem to have high hits, then 2 seem to have few. The boxes at my local shop luckily seem to have been the lucky batch. Still chasing that double foil stack pack. I have never seen one of those, James. That would be very, very cool. Larry says, I suggest Houston for the Nationals. Chris Rice was a great host for the Houston Open. Larry, that might be good for next year. We'll talk about it. Hey, Phil, how are you? Would have loved to make it. Glad everyone had a blast. Phil, I hope you're feeling better. Thomas says, Diego, Marcel, Corey, Nor, Justin all had 2 top 8s. That's awesome. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 guys had 2. Thomas had 3. And Ricky says, Nats in Tulsa. It's too late, Ricky. That hashtag will have to be for next year. Ricky wins the Nats because no one else attends if it's in Tulsa. I don't know. There might be 4 guys show up in Tulsa. Josh says, Ricky versus Ricky Spots. Yeah, that would probably be what it would turn out to be. Funny. Did everybody else have as much fun at this event as I did? I know Jessica, Corey, Nor, we all talked about it most of the way home, how much fun we had. I did see one issue at the Nats. A lot of people were playing the Any Hero hymnal and playing it wrong. When you avoid one attack with a special and draw a card, you are supposed to be revealing that card. I did not see anybody actually reveal the drawn card. So if you run up against that in the Nats, make sure your opponent reveals that card to you. I had never faced that card before, and I hadn't paid a whole lot of attention to it. I did have it played on me when my opponent did not reveal the card. I didn't realize he was supposed to. So keep an eye on that going forward. Oh, there we go. Joe says, I may dig or reveal it in our match. Good. Joe, I'm glad somebody knew because I sure didn't. Merlin says, keep an eye on those reveals. Yeah, that's huge. It's something, you really got to know the text on the cards. And Traveling Goof says, I revealed my hymnal cards. Thank you, Goof. Appreciate that. Hey, Jessica, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it. I've seen a lot of players playing it and not revealing it. So, Joe, good for you for knowing. Goof, good for you for doing it. That was the only misplay that I think I saw all weekend, but I did see it consistently happening. Of course, we have this no passive judging. We're not allowed to say anything. I guess maybe somebody should have mentioned it to the judges early and they could have made an announcement, but nothing was said or done about it the whole event. I actually saw 2 judges watching a game where it wasn't revealed and neither one of them said anything. So I don't know if we're even getting to the point where even the judges aren't saying anything. Outside of that, it was a pretty uneventful event as far as misplays goes. I did not hear too much of anything. Well, I mean, mistakes, yes. I saw one player discarded a level 8 power card, any level 8 power, and kept an 8 energy power card that he could no longer use by mistake. And they caught it. That was in Thomas's game, and actually Thomas was very generous and allowed the player to switch him back out of the dead pile, get rid of the 8 energy, and get the 8 any pack back that Sun Wukong could still play. Merlin says, I think any new card entered into the battle should be revealed by default, personally. Yeah, I kind of agree with that. Unfortunately, it's not in the rules, and it's not on the cards. Traveling Goof, if you search your deck, you should for sure. Like for Barsoom's fetch, but I wouldn't necessarily say it's needed for draws. Merlin says, that should remain, though. I don't like this notion that spectators, even judges, should interrupt the game. It's on the players to catch misplays and such. Ricky says, yes, someone had to remind me it needed to be revealed. Traveling Goof says, someone pulled an ally from my Warlord of Mars event, so that would have helped prevent those kind of things. And John Raven says, I'm with Merlin. Active judging risks accusations of favoritism / picking on people. Understood. Yeah, good point. John says, my understanding is that active judging is not allowed. You or your opponent need to address it if not satisfied, call a judge. Yep, that's the way things are right now. I think if the problem I have with this warning thing that's going around is that nobody's keeping track of the warnings, and I saw one player get 2 warnings, but the judge that gave him the second warning did not know that there was a first warning. So it's tough. I don't know. Ricky said in top 8 against Justin, he accidentally discarded the wrong power card. I wasn't as nice as Thomas, though, and didn't let him replace. I felt bad, though. Honestly, Ricky, you're paying for $10,000. And in the top 8, I don't think I would have allowed my opponent to do it either. So don't feel too bad. Feel bad for Justin, but don't feel bad for not letting him swap it out. And I know Justin probably feels terrible about it, but I don't think I would have either. Thomas said both players are responsible for maintaining the state of the game. Yep. But hopefully if a judge sees something, they say something. Well, I guess in Overpowered, they're not really allowed to. Marcel, the GOAT, has entered the chat. Good to have you, buddy. How are you? Stefan says, Melee tracks warnings, right? I don't know if Melee does or not, but we're using Cardio, and Cardio does not track warnings. I'm not sure about Melee. Does anybody even still use Melee? I think all the major games have kind of left Melee. Diego, how are you? All right, you're on the flight home. Yes, you did have another great weekend. Congratulations, my friend. Proud of you guys from Brazil, fighting hard. I can't wait to see you again when the whole crew comes up. John says, I would prefer the rules were enforced by the judges, but no spectator interjection should be allowed. That's a decision for LRG to determine. I agree, spectators should not be allowed to say anything. Hey, Nor. That's all right, buddy. I know what's going on. Got to get to the airport to pick up your dad. Stefan says, sorry, meant Cardio. Cardio does not currently track warnings that I know of. I'm pretty sure they were saying that it doesn't. If it does, I don't know how to do it. Josh says, Nora, your deck was so awesome. You know what? I got to tell everyone while Nor's still on here, I'm so proud of Nor. Just learning to play. He has now been playing for less than a year, and he finished in the top 4 to regional. Overpower Mountain. Your show name is correct. Always on this true Overpower adventure. It's adventure time. Marcel, thanks, buddy. Always good to have you. It is always an adventure. And speaking of adventures, we had no extreme adventures on the way home. No deer in the road. No 11.5-hour drive home. It was only 7 hours. So it was fun. The drive out there was good. Got there early enough to meet up with everybody on Friday night. And just had a marvelous weekend. And I hope we can do the same for everybody at the Nats. Ricky says, yeah, Nor is unbelievable. Josh says, incredible showing. And Nor twice. That's right, twice. He got a number 3, I believe, in Canada. So a 3 and a 4. And all we got to do now is go to the Nats and get the Team Ohio to take a couple more spots in that top 8 and see where it goes. Well, Merlin, it took 14 hours to get home? What the heck is up with that? James said, Columbus trained poor this year. Train me next year. I got Nor or Brazil for national champ. James, show up, man. We'll train you. As a matter of fact, we've had quite a few people ask if they could come to Columbus and hang out for a Saturday and just play games and get some pointers. And we would love to do that with anybody that wants to come to Columbus. Diego says, looking forward to do an overpowered training camp before the Nats. Maybe Team LOB Brazil and Team Columbus can sharp the axe together. I would love it. And I talked to Felipe about it. Well, texted Felipe about it today, and he's excited about it too. And we'll see who all can come up from Brazil. Josh says, I guess I need to move to Columbus so I can finally learn how to play this game. Josh, you've improved tremendously since the first time, buddy. You're doing great. But if you want to move to Columbus, we'll gladly take you. Come on up. We love playing this game, and we love teaching people how to play it. And speaking of which, I know I posted that I would do a Learn to Play and maybe do a live stream on venturing and conceding. I was planning on doing it tomorrow, but I think I'm going to put it off a week. A lot going on when I got back from this trip. The store's kind of busy. So I think next Tuesday I'll do a live stream, and I'll do it a little bit later in the night, probably closer to 8 o'clock, so that more people can hopefully tune in. If you have any questions on venturing and conceding, we'll take it in the live stream and try and do a little Learn to Play for everybody. Larry says, I'm looking into Sao Paulo, Brazil for Valhalla 6. As much as I'd love to go to Brazil, Larry, I seriously doubt I would make that trip. I don't know if Jessica, Nor, and Corey would or not, but as much as I would like to, it might be a little much. James says Bruno needs to come up from Brazil. We need to get that whole crew up. I'd love to meet them all in person. It would be fun. And Diego wants to come up before the Nats and spend a whole week training, practicing against each other. And that would be awesome. We'd have a lot of fun doing it. And Felipe wants to actually come in and work our store. I could just see him now. He'd be signing his books all day long and selling them left and right, autographed copies. Let's see, is everyone who's? Merlin says, I wonder if we could get a good charter deal if we had enough warning for a trip to Sao Paulo. That might work. I wonder what that would cost to charter a plane down there. Take about 16 or 20 people with us. That'd be awesome. Got Jessica and Nora in the chat. Where's Corey? He's probably hanging out with Justice. Maybe he'll listen later. So I ended up playing Sun Wukong with King Arthur, Jane Porter, and then Lancelot in reserve. And the biggest issue I kept having was not drawing Jane Porter's avoid one attack, opponent must discard one card from hand, when I had the ability to shift into that and make my opponent discard something. Outside of the game with Diego, where discards got me, but the other losses were because the deck just wasn't flowing right. Drawing heavy as the head before I had the opportunity to get the avoid one attack. Not drawing Sun Wukong's shift when it was there. I think one game I had Lancelot actually move up to the front line with his 7 and Sword and Shield placed on him, and I got Reapered, and I had to discard the 7. Goof. There was one time one of my opponents had 10 points on them, and that 10 from Lancelot knocked him out and really kind of helped me win that game. But outside of that, I think the only 2 times he came up, he only came up 2 times. And I never did get the +2 to the power cards, because every time, the one time I did put it in play, I didn't have any power cards in my hand. I just had the 10. So it was still fun. I liked Lancelot. I'm going to look at him again and see if maybe I can find some way to get him on the front line. John says, I will not go to Brazil in any non-winter months. I don't do well in extreme heat. Yeah, that would be interesting. John says, Few and Curse Kickstarter almost has all 4 allies unlocked. Oh, that would be awesome. I made a strong backing on that project to getting there. Hopefully he'll do it. I would consider it if it was in early February some year. Traveling Goose says, you want it in May to September if you don't like the heat. And Merlin says, I think you brought up Lancelot. You brought Lance up in my game. Yeah, I think you're the one who reapered me and took my 10 away. JB Sauce Cat just came in to say, hi, sorry to hear the deck didn't do as well as you had hoped. Thank you, sir. I still had a whole lot of fun. So, Traveling Goose says, remember, seasons are flipped in the southern hemisphere. Merlin says, Lancelot is solid with Sun Wukong. The 2 in the front line together with Asception can be very potent. Merlin says, sounds like something I do. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you were the one that reapered me. Or was it Chris? It might have been both of you. But the Reaper is still very strong. Too strong. I just don't like it. Sean, what team did you play? Sean played an interesting team. He was using the land that time forgot. I'll let him type it in because I don't honestly remember. Was it Sherlock? Boy, I can't believe it. I don't remember what he played. Merlin says, it's amazing the event was only 2 days ago and I can barely remember specifics. Yeah. They're so intense, I think that's why I don't remember them. Larry says, my worst hand was drawing 3 of 4 teamworks in the first hand with no power cards. Folded, drew the 4th teamwork in the next hand and 1 power card. Obviously, that was one of my losses. Yeah, that would be hard to overcome. Wow. And it's hard to play teamworks in this environment because your power cards are used for so much defense. Jane Porter, Sherlock Holmes, Joan of Arc, and Professor Moriarty. Land that time forgot, home base with King of the Jungle mission. Right. I think I knocked out Joan of Arc. And that's about as far as I got against you. Traveling Goof says, haha, I jotted down all the decks I played against and all the top 8 decks because I wouldn't remember them otherwise. You know, I tried that at one tournament. And after about the 4th game, I forgot to keep writing them down. So, James says, still down to laser cut, ban the Reaper on anyone's Reaper they want to throw in a deck. Yeah, I would still love to see the Reaper banned. I'm hearing rumors that they're looking at making it a cataclysm, but I don't. From what I understand, they're wanting to wait and see how the Skybound set does against the Reaper. And as a play tester, I don't think it does any. It doesn't do much, if anything, because it's still forcing you to play characters that you probably don't want to play, or that you might not want to play, which is the biggest reason I'm against it. Phil says, hey, Merlin, how'd you like the Moriarty Reserve? How many games did you win because of MG? Mathematical Genius came up against me, and he never did play that Mathematical Genius, I don't think. I think it was still placed on him when our game ended. But he did really well in the event, so I'm sure he had better results against other players. Did anybody look on Facebook today to see if there was any major announcements? James sent out an email on Saturday. That was really nice. It had a lot of articles in it talking about the state of the game. So that was pretty cool. I was really surprised that Jessica's deck didn't perform a little bit better, because I sure had a hard time against her. I don't think I've ever beaten that deck. If I have, I don't remember when. Larry says, I only got Reaper though one time and only was unable to block one time. Don't ban the Reaper. Oh, Larry, I think you have ulterior motives. Sean says, Moriarty in reserve was great. Backup Grid and Mathematical Genius only really came up once or twice in the Power Pack matches where it absolutely rules. Mathematical Genius and Power Pack is almost an I win button. Yeah, you can play an 8 and then hopefully go get another one, right? John says, don't forget there is a new suit of any heroes. It could be good enough as a group of cards to make some people ditch the Reaper. John, be honest with you, I've heard rumors of a new suite of any heroes. Have no idea when that is going to be released. Is that in the Skybound set? Don't know. I don't know anything about it. I didn't see, we obviously didn't get any in the Skybound playtest cards, but we also didn't get missions, events, so I don't know. Maybe it's part of Skybound. I would be interested to see how that would work. A suite of any heroes, does that mean there's going to be some any heroes that are going to be retired? I don't know how that's going to work at all. It is going to be in Skybound, huh? Well, we shall see. I don't like the idea of making another card to combat another card specifically. We'll see how it comes out. The Grim Reaper was a power leech in the original game. It was bad in the original game. It was bad when it was a Grim Reaper, and it's still bad. Just don't understand why that card was ever reprinted. It was so bad in the original game that they had to come out with a negate specifically for it. Traveling Goose says, I'd be down to see new ambushes and assist. And John says, you choose which set you play. Spoiler alert. Marcel, red light, spoiler alert. Bring back DOW for Legacy. I can't see anyone playing another set of any heroes. I don't know how it could be as good or better than the any heroes that are out there now. So if that's what they're going to do, my curiosity is piqued. I'd love to see what they got in mind. I don't know what it could possibly be that would make me want to play them over Fairy Protection, Guardian, and a Grim Reaper, and a Negate. So, yep, I agree, John. The original Leech before the target errata was busted, and it was still pretty bad even after the target errata. But, we kind of had battle sites to help defend it a lot better back then. Now there's just not much you can do. You might have 3 or 4 cards in some decks, and it just eliminates you from being able to play some characters. A lot of times you pick your 3 that you want, and then that 4th one is probably going to be somebody to stop their Grim Reaper. Not always, but a lot of times. The Goose says, you can introduce a different set of ambushes instead of having suited 7s, maybe 5s with a discard or something. That would be interesting. Diego says, I like that. Bring back DOW for Legacy. I'm kind of moving on from Legacy. until, well, I don't think they'll ever be playable in the modern game. So my legacy cards are kind of going to be put away and just broken out every once in a while when we play a fun game here in Columbus. I don't see myself traveling to NOW events next year, but we shall see. John says, I haven't seen them, so I don't know if they will be good. Oh my gosh, John, you haven't seen them either? Hey, Carpe, how are you? Yo, I forgot to stop in. Better late than never. Yep, absolutely. Merlin said, well, battle sites and any heroes couldn't be mixed until the X-Men set. So you were still at the same mercy. And Larry says, eliminate the errata for Four Freedoms Plaza. I think Four Freedoms was a little overpowered, Larry. They had to do something. And when you can shift those attacks as an inherent ability and put them wherever you want and not worry about defending them, you got 3 characters on the front line, you put all the energy on one of them, all the combat, intelligence. Nah, I don't think that errata will ever go away. And it looks like in 2026 we're going to have at least 2 sets, right? We're going to have Skybound and Top Cow. So, what you guys think of that playmat? We all got to play on Omni-Man playmats, and then they had them for sale over at the booth. So that was pretty good. I think all of us that wanted one was able to get one. They had plenty left over. They didn't sell out. I bought some for some other Columbus players who couldn't make the trip. So it was pretty good. They did sell out of Witchblade at the show. I don't know if that means they'll have them other places or not, but I think they did sell all of them that they brought with them. So that was pretty cool. Sean says, permanent Vertigo. Someone needed a slap with that design. Yes, I agree. Larry says, Valhalla 6, a 3-day event. Draft, Legacy, Modern. That would be something. That'd be a weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Merlin says, I grabbed myself an Omni-Man. I think a lot of people bought the Omni-Mans. And I think it was people who weren't necessarily playing Overpower who bought the Witchblade, the Darkness, and the Cyberforce. Oh, John, that reminds me, if you're in here, Raven, did you want a Cyberforce map? Was that you I was supposed to buy one for? I did. So you're all set to go. Let's see. I missed something here. Larry, you can't have free Vertigo back. Bad, Orange King. No. We need modern battle sites. I agree, Nor. Let's get that done. Let us use good cards from unplayable characters. Yep. Carpe says, I brought my own Nemo mat. What? I didn't see that. I would love to see a Captain Nemo mat. Omni-Man looked cool, though. Yes. And Jessica, whoops. Don't think it's possible without codes. Yeah, you're right. Battle sites would be tricky in the modern era because they didn't put codes on any of the cards. So I don't know how we would get away with that. Merlin says, I also now have 2 of the Mina mats. They gave me one as a thank you for judging in Seattle. That was nice. But I managed to earn a top 8 mat through actual play this time. Yeah, good job. John says, yes! Yeah, brother, I got you. I'll hook you up at the Nats, okay? And to be honest with you, I couldn't remember which one you liked better, but I thought you liked the one that I liked better. So I bought one of each to make sure I got you the right one. So you're all set. I'll take care of you. Yeah, Jessica, I never even thought about that. There's no codes on the new cards. How are you going to do battle sites? You're welcome, buddy. I appreciate all you do. You are such a big help to me during the OP Cup. Oh, I'm running out of gas here, guys. I'm sorry. We got to get an announcement for the Nats so that we can have that to talk about for the next 4 months. I know, like I said, a lot of people are talking about it there in Philadelphia. Most of us know that where it's going to be. We just need a date and an official announcement. And I think it's coming really soon. I have not heard anything. Let me check my messages now. Oops. No, nothing yet. I don't see anything. But it's coming. We will get it soon, I promise. Time to errata some codes on the card, says Ricky. Now no. That would be a catastrophe. Didn't HeroClix do that with their cards? They made a huge list of errata and said these old cards now have these keywords. That was not good. Josh says, thanks for always doing the show, especially after such an intense weekend. You're welcome, Josh. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you guys. We've already had 45 views. We got 10 likes. So I guess some people aren't enjoying it. But if you are, please leave me a like and subscribe so you get those notifications. Stefan says battle sites won't be so bad if characters aren't printed in multiple sets. Nor said no code rule, just restrict by character and no dupes. Yeah. Well, that would be interesting. I suppose we could probably work out something like that. Well, is that Felipe yo-yo-yoing? Hey, buddy, how are ya? The Traveling Goof says, I've seen people put up clever LRG-style battle sites. They have rules on the back, may only choose one of the following cards. John says, I have the Darkness mat. Now I need them to make a Lord Sunatine mat. John says, will you clear the play mats off the table for Thanksgiving dinner? There will be no overpower at my Thanksgiving. James says, no, the play mats become placemats. Felipe says, I hear there's chatter about a tourney in Brazil. Oh, is that what it took to get you to tune in live, huh? Oh, thank you for the 5 people who just hit the like button. I appreciate you guys. Thanks, Larry. Yeah, Felipe. Larry's talking about coming down to see you next summer or fall. Something like that. You got, you got a group about 8 or 9 guys, right? So that's a pretty good start. I know Jessica said she'd like to come down. Didn't you, Jessica? That's a long way. How long is that flight? Stefan says, plus they could make sure a battle site doesn't have options that would break it. The codes were required because they had to grandfather all the old cards in. Felipe says, haha, that and the promise of the national championship landing either in Columbus or Brazil. Can't have it any other way. I like those 2 choices. Yep. Hey, Ricky says he pledged today, Felipe. He's got that big check. Now he has to spend it. John says, Felipe, did we crack the 4th ally yet? There's 10 of you down there. That's awesome. John says, got to run. Dinner calls. Thanks for streaming. Hey, John, thanks for tuning in. And really sorry you didn't make it down. Jessica says, yes, she wants to go to Brazil. Felipe, maybe you and Larry got to talk when you come up for the Nats. Larry, do you plan on being at the Nats? We are, oh, man, I got to be careful. I don't want to get that red light spoiler alert from Marcel to pop up on the screen again. Sean says they didn't have the giant novelty check. Ricky got robbed. You know what? I forgot all about that. You're right. And Felipe says, yes, we did. We got the 4th ally. That's awesome. That is. How many more days left on the Kickstarter? Are you close to wrapping it up? Yeah, I totally forgot about that big paycheck. Ricky probably couldn't have got it home anyways. Ricky says, I did get robbed. I want my big check. And Thomas says, OMG, no check. Oh, wow. I wonder if they just forgot. I wonder if they had it there and just forgot to give it to him. I know Joe wasn't feeling good, so we can kind of cut him some slack if that's the issue. Because if he just forgot because he wasn't feeling good. I can understand that. What? I can do better than something every night. We can cook you guys. I don't know what that is, Felipe, but you're making me hungry. December 11th on Kickstarter. Okay, so, we still got a little while. Thomas says, big game show style paycheck is a pain to get home, but real fun. Yeah, Doug Taylor mailed Phil's back to him. Greg says, someone forgot the big check at home. Thanks for tuning in, Greg. Oh, that's hilarious. And Doug says 4 Freedoms Plaza was broken. You got that right. It was awful. Felipe says we got more than 2 weeks left. Plenty of time for more OP promos. Nice. Come on, guys. Go out there and support Felipe. He's an okay kind of guy. We really like him. Merlin says we really need to pressure LRG into approving few and cursed mission sets for Modern, as well as creating events for them. Maybe a few and cursed mini set with a couple of the characters. I would be all for that. Absolutely. What would the people want? Asks Felipe. And Ricky says they said a shipping error. I had to hold up a Mina playmat that they were going to Photoshop in the big check. That's funny. Okay. All right. Camilla says she also thinks I'm okay and likes me too. Yeah, she must be a big-hearted woman to put up with you. James says, second events for few and cursed. I think it wouldn't matter what you put on those events with that fantastic artwork. I'd play them. You guys got something going good there. The Few and Cursed World Legends. I like it. I'm so glad they ran into you at, was that in Seattle or New York? That was New York, wasn't it? New York Comic Con last year. We got some great cards and some even better friendships out of it. So it's all good. Traveling Goof says, our next Zeus TT style set, World Legends plus Felipe's characters. Yep. Felipe is not saying anything. Okay. All right. I would like to see some more ERB stuff. I love all the World Legends stuff. I'm having so much fun with this set. I think there's still some other stuff that's not been tapped yet, and we're going to be looking into it here in Columbus. Stefan says, how many packs would they need to sell to make a mini set work, do you think? Not a peep about the Few and Cursed and Modern overpowered. Not a peep. They're not talking, or you're not allowed to talk. That could mean two different things. How many packs would they need to sell to make a mini set work? I don't know. To be honest with you, I just kind of want to see what this Skybound set does and how many people it brings into the game, because I think it's gonna grow the game tremendously. And once we get some more players into the game, then we can talk about other sets like this. James says, we have World Legends. How about an Urban Legends set? Josh says, how about Doc Savage, the Shadow, and the Phantom for the next World Legends. Love all three of them. Carpe, I think you might do a mini set without Pax. And Josh, Pulp Legends would be fantastic. You know, you got me already. Felipe says a second World Legends would be great. I, for one, love playing with Zoro, Leo, Jane. Those characters are pretty cool. Love it. I don't think there's a character in the set that as a character I don't like. Although Sun Wukong, I still haven't read the books. I got disappointed when I found out he wasn't a major character in the storyline. But I'll read them eventually. Felipe, the Phantom, absolutely. James says, oh, wow, Pulp Legends, I like that. The problem with the Pulp Legends, the Shadow would be hard to get. They still kind of enforce him. Not sure about the Phantom. Doc Savage. Condé Nast has the Shadow, and they really gatekeep him. But you throw enough money at him, they'll do it. Merlin says, perhaps a Few and Curse set could be like the Assault on Onslaught set. 4 characters, special suit, events, and missions. Great idea. Carpe says, I would love to see World Legends 2.0. Maybe they could even have new alt arts for some of the original World Legends characters who didn't get one. Josh says, I still want Beowulf and Grendel from the original Brute Force Power card. Yes. That would be amazing. Is Green Hornet public domain yet? I don't believe he is, Merlin, but I'm not really sure. And Felipe likes your idea. I'd love to see that happen too. Doug says, yeah, let's make new codes on the cards so I could have a giant binder with 8,000 codes to look through. Yeah. Oh. There we go. Raven says Green Hornet doesn't go into public domain until 2037. That doesn't mean, they don't have to be in public domain. It just means you'd have to pay a little bit of money to get the rights to use them. I don't know that the Green Hornet would be all that expensive. It's not like people are lining up to use him for anything, right? So it might be hard to get the Bruce Lee character, the rights to use him, but I don't know about the Green Hornet. Will we still be playing Overpower in 2037? Asked Merlin. Well, we didn't think we'd be playing it in 2025, did we? But here we are. And that's only 12 years. And it's been 30 years. Yep, there you go, Raven. That's right. We didn't think we would be. James says, so we get Batman and Superman in public domain before Green Hornet. Sounds about right to me. Felipe says, so many gods to play with yet. Yeah, I'm kind of over that part. Nobody there that would interest me. But there's a lot out there. Seth would be a sweet, dark character to play with. Ramses, too. Guys, I'm just hanging in to try and get that Marvel license. You know me. You can come out with whatever set you want between now and then, as long as it gets us to the Marvel license. That's why I'm hanging in so much with this game. I want the Marvel license. I want to do everything I can to help these guys get that Marvel license. Whatever it takes to get eyeballs on this game to get that Marvel license. I want to play with Spider-Man. I want to play with Captain America, Nick Fury, all those old Marvel characters. That's what I want. Sean says, think about this. Our Overpower Renaissance has now lasted 3 times longer than the original run of Overpower. That's hilarious. Wow. Raven says, still cross Flash Gordon. Got taken for Total Chaos. Would love to see the King characters, Defenders of the Earth in there. That would be very cool. Absolutely, all the King characters. Merlin says, nah, Marvel's... What? They could rot. Let's have more literary and mythological characters. I think for the long-term success of the game, we need the Marvel license. And it is what I want. So, Jonathan Goose says, Wolfman, Godzilla, Prometheus. Ooh, how do you pronounce that one? Chabakara, and so much more. I know those are fun characters. I don't know that they're going to bring players into the game, and that's what we really want, right? Felipe says, the current Flash Gordon artist is one of my best friends in comics. Just saying. Flash would be a cool addition. I would love Flash Gordon. Carpe says, you heard it here first. Doug Sims wants pictures of Spider-Man. Yes. James says, yeah, I want like the third set of Marvel because the first two just going to be the legends and who they want to hype up. But the third set, that's where you get those niche characters. Josh says, I love the mythological and literary characters. So do I. Larry says, I did when we did Peace Bridge in 2013. I never expected it to get so big and have new releases. And Felipe says, they won't. They won't what, Felipe? What did I miss there? Phil says, same, Larry, same. Yep, never would have thought so. Ricky says, I want the crossover of having Magic the Gathering characters in Overpower. Oh boy. Space Ghost and Brock would be really cool, Larry. Yep. Spider-Man is in the Magic the Gathering set now, for sure, Ricky. But it has not gone over as big as they had hoped. Josh says, I think if they can keep racking up the bigger IPs but still do smaller World Legends entries, that would be ideal. Yes, I agree. My pulp deck, says Merlin, Flash Gordon, Buck Rogers, The Shadow, and Green Hornet. I love it. Yeah. Ricky says, I was thinking more Ursa and stuff, or even newer ones like Jace. Carpe says, great call, James. You all aren't ready for my Doom Patrol and Big Wheel deck. Yeah, I'm definitely not ready for Doom Patrol. They won't bring new players. We need the licenses. Yeah, I agree. The things that's going to bring in the new players are Marvel and DC. I just am not that big of a DC fan, so it's not that high on my priority list. But for the good of the game, we need Marvel and DC. Carpe says, my personal wish is honestly a Blizzard set. That would be interesting. James says, I'd put Ursa on my front line. Carpe says that and Killer Instinct. Thomas says, all the Planeswalkers. Meshakia, Jace with Karn in reserve. Zerg Army. Yeah, I just think that stuff's a little too niche. But you know what? I could be wrong. I just want, like I said, to get to the Marvel license. And then once we get a very broad base of players, then maybe we can do small sets like that. Goof says, I'm really interested to hear how Skybound affects the player base. Yep, I'm skeptical whether just having Invincible slapped on the box is going to make anything happen without a lot of work with LGSs. Interesting take, and I think it's got to take both, and it's not going to be an easy sell. It's not going to just happen. There are people who are going to come in and want to know what it's all about. They're going to want to be able to sit down and learn how to play it. Just like any other game, they're going to need people to teach them. So it's not just, they're not going to buy a box and start playing. Not in large quantities. James says Street Fighter versus Mortal Kombat, but it has to be the one set they can't be separate. Hey, Skittle Daddy, how are you? Good to see you. Reggie says Capcom, yep. Bolts and Blades, love the usage of mythology and literary figures, but Marvel is where the money is at. I totally agree. Josh says Capcom 100. Yeah. Carpe says, I think even if Marvel is harder to get, DC might be in reach. Honestly, I think it's kind of the other way around. I think if they get Marvel, DC will say, hey, we got to keep up with Marvel. When you make a set for us. Whereas if they get DC, Marvel won't even notice. But I could be wrong. A good DC set would be awesome. 8 Bruce Force Superman. Yeah, that's what we should have had. And that's what we got to have in the first DC set. Goof says, right now there is no pathway to get people playing. They've gone to cons, but there are so few player hubs that the only way to play is to get on social. That's not enough. And that's something Corey and I talk about all the time. These $20,000 tournaments have not brought in a lot of new players, which is unfortunate. I thought it would bring in more players. Even the Columbus guys, we're having a hard time getting a bunch of them in. What we have out there with this, there were 7 guys, I think, from Columbus out there in Philly this weekend. Maybe 8, I think it was 7. But there's 3 or 4 that played in the regional, and we haven't had them back since. So we shall see. Felipe says Marvel has a new policy of just licensing away. Might not be a far away dream. The Goof says need to get some real legwork at LGSs with how to play events, advertising, etc. Yeah, Goof, I'm a little disappointed I don't have Skybound posters in my windows already. I know we're looking at February, March, but they should already be there. Felipe says, think how many game studios are working on Marvel stuff. Yeah, Marvel's everywhere. Sean says, let's make a Max 6 Superman just to make people mad. I think that would work. That would really make us mad. A Max 7 Superman is hilarious. Yes, and if they ever do it again, I will not buy that set. Ricky says, less in prizes, more in promotion and engagement, I think should happen going forward. Goof says he absolutely agrees with Ricky. Yeah, that kind of, all the prize money is all going to the old players, and we're not bringing in enough new players, and that's something that I don't know how to change it, other than we just need to host more things here in Columbus and bring in as many as we can, and hope you guys can do the same. I know Seattle's doing a very good job up there. They're bringing in a lot of players. Thomas and Joe and Doug and all them guys, they're doing great. And, I don't see a whole lot of new players in Michigan, Alabama, Florida. It's just hard. Every LGS needs somebody working the store that loves the game. It's always the easiest way to do it. Dark Cloud, how are you? Oh, please do rewatch. Thanks for tuning in, though. Appreciate it, Dark Cloud. Carpe says a Max 7 Superman would be really funny next to Omni-Man. Ricky, a beginner's bracket with its own pricing. Yeah, you almost have to do that at some point, right? But even that's hard, because where do you cut off the beginner's bracket? At what level? Merlin says a massive event won't bring in new people. It needs to be a slow growth with small local events where people can learn the game without high stakes. Interesting. Probably. I think I agree with you, Sean. James says the prize pool is a nice draw, but people who aren't already playing feel like others have a leg up. Most of their opponents are people who have play tested. Peace Bridge Memorial. Hi. Just able to. Well, yeah. Why does everyone seem to have new logins today? Hey, Howard. How are you? Phil says Nora's new. He is, but he had a really good teacher. And he had a really good play group. Diego said, yeah, I know, buddy. Limited regional event in 2026. Ooh, we already had a limited one in 2025, Thomas. Want to have it limited again? I'd like to see their regionals spread out a little more. James says, especially with Skybound being in nationals, most of the field has 6 months plus lead time. No, actually, there's not that many play testers, but I can almost guarantee you that it's going to be hard for Skybound to be at the Nats. We shall see. Thomas says, draft. See you guys later. Cheers, Felipe. Thanks for tuning in, buddy. Always good to see you. And Diego in the chat. Thanks so much. Thomas says, levels the playing field for prizes too. Draft is new to everyone. Yeah. Larry says, my next draft, Modern Tourney Open, is in Pittsburgh. Date to be announced. And Bolts and Blades agrees with Merlin. Ricky says, or a more expensive tourney along with a cheaper tourney for people less experienced. Skittle Daddy says Minnesota. Yeah, we just don't have that player base yet. Howard. Yeah, I don't know. Everyone, a lot of people have a different one. Beginner events, possibly sealed deck draft accompanying the regionals and other big events might. Whoa, you guys are going too fast for me. Good idea in places where it is possible. Yep. Chris Rice says, I need to play a guy that just found the game at PAX. Yeah, there was Matthew, and I don't know if he won anything, but he did have fun, and I think did he play the whole 7 rounds? I'm not sure, but he had fun. I find I quite like draft events, says Merlin. They're okay. I prefer sealed. Draft takes a long time, but it's okay. The Traveling Goof says, yeah, whenever they have a con, they should also partner with an LGS to provide a place or event for new players to try out OP again. I got to tell you guys, as an owner of a store, even though we're mostly comics, it is so hard to bring in a new game, because 90% of them that approach us, we don't even want to talk to them about it. And I know that's what Overpower's running into. If we had a guy call up, I can't remember what game it was, but it was not a well-known game, but it wasn't a completely new one. And he said, would you consider hosting events for our game? And I just said no. I have limited play space. I have limited dollars available to buy inventory. And until people come in and ask me for the game, I'm not going to add it. So Columbus wouldn't be so big in the Overpower scene if we weren't players of old who owned the store. It would have been pretty hard for my store to bring Overpower in. I might not have even talked to them if I hadn't been a former Overpower player. So it's hard. There are so many games out there right now that are coming out. And if you look on Kickstarter, there's probably 10 or 15 right now that you could go fund on Kickstarter. And the cards look nice. I don't know how well the games play, but it's tough. It is very, very tough. And even established games struggle. So it's hard. And if you can find a game store in your town that will let you host events and they're willing to buy a few boxes to bring it in to help you, that's fantastic. And that's what we need. We need you to go out there and talk to your local store and say, will you buy 4 boxes? Will you buy just 1 box of starters? Buy 3 or 4 power stations and spend, what are we talking, $800, $900? And, you know, a lot of stores, although that doesn't seem like a whole lot, sometimes a store just don't have the budget for it. So it's harder than you could imagine. Oh boy, you guys are talking up a storm while I'm talking too. Let's see. Draft. Carpe says, I think con booths have probably been the best attractor for new players. I think they've done a great job at that, at being at all these cons. New York Comic Con, the booth was packed. My buddy went up to the booth at New York Comic Con to talk to them about being at his convention in February, and he had a hard time even talking to them because they were just so busy. So yeah, it is a good place to start. And Chris says, need a regional in Oklahoma or Texas for sure. There definitely needs to be one in the South, whether it's Oklahoma, Texas, Florida, Georgia. We need something down there. Reggie says, Sorcery has a Sorcery Con every year, which is several days with different events. Perhaps we need an Overpower Con. Overcon, says Josh. Phil says, non-play testers will be at a large disadvantage if they are at the Nats. Every other game testers would have to sit out a certain number of months, says Phil. Yeah, I don't know. We just need to get a Nats date, and then we can address Skybound. Traveling Goose says, divert some of that prize money towards staying in the cities after cons to capitalize on all that excitement from showing the game. Sounds good, but a lot of those people were traveling. So, and Phil says, I like a challenge, though. James says, it would be nice if they were at some smaller cons, bigger cons. I feel get you seen more by others in the industry, but less by people looking to play. Chris says, Matthew had a win or two when I played him. That's awesome. Dark Clown says, Nats will happen before Invincible. They keep pushing Invincible back. Andrew, is that you, Dark Clown? I haven't heard anything about Invincible being pushed back. I still heard we're February to March. Howard says, I will be starting discussions with Joe next week on LRG, NAOL, tourney scheduling, etc. for 2026. PM me with ideas. Diego says, agree 100%. Phil, wouldn't be too fair if Skybound is in the Nationals with all playtesters playing. Dark Clown says, I wish it was simultaneous, though. Drop the cards on Cardia with 3 to 4 months and then let everyone play with the fresh cards immediately upon dropping would be so fun. James says, getting prize packs is hard, though. Having to get 8 people to sign up to try out. Agree. Diego says, same about challenges, though. Larry says, Chris, I suggested Houston for a national. Oh my gosh, you guys are going so fast. I love it. Keep it going. John, happy Thanksgiving, buddy. We'll talk to you later. The local store here is discounting their ERB boxes now. They are very unhappy with the level of support they received from LRG. They don't even have a poster to hang in their window. We talked about that a little bit, Howard, already, and I would love to have a Skybound poster already. It's not too early. James says, I was able to talk my local store into buying a few boxes and have tried to teach people. That's great, but I've been buying all the product. Someone bought one box and just no interest. I kind of feel bad and like I got to try it all now. Goose says, Houston or Dallas would be a good spot. Big cities that are easy to fly to. Yes. Doug says, agree, Howard. We need posters and cleans and standees. Dark Clowns. Dave said it's February, March now. It was January, February a couple weeks ago. I never heard January, February, so maybe, but I'm glad I can't say everything I want to say. Goof says, if our California folks keep expanding the local base, eventually a San Jose, Los Angeles, or San Diego regional would be cool. Absolutely, and I would love to come to San Diego in the summertime and catch a Padres game while I'm there. So, if you can make that happen, Goof, I will support you 100% as much as I can. I don't think Skybound will be at the Nats. I don't think it's going to be legal. I don't think it'll be produced in time. I think people expecting January Skybound release were being very optimistic. I agree. I don't know that I ever heard anyone from LRG say January, but I could be wrong. They're going to have a tough enough time doing February, March. And we need to get LRG to just make these announcements, just so that I can talk freely about it. But I don't. What can I say? I just don't think it's going to be available to play at the Nats. Okay, so let's not be too concerned about that right now. If they announce that it's legal for the Nats and release it in time to actually have some cards in players' hands before the Nats, then we can complain about it. But I would say right now, let's take the path that it is not going to be tournament legal for the Nats. I don't think there's any way that it will be. And I don't think we have to be concerned about it. Carpe says, yeah, I felt like January was more of a rumor. James says, I remember it was original late January, the week before the new season of Invincible was originally going to premiere. And Skybound wanted it then, and it's why they didn't think that it would be able to do it by Christmas. You know what? Now that you say that, James, I believe you're right. Yep. Dark Clown, I think you're right. At one time, maybe it was in January. Wow. Okay. And I was trying to get it out by Christmas. You're right. I think you're right. James says the show got pushed back. I hope the cards got pushed back because they're getting worked on and Skybound's making them, but so many things are so late. Are they banning Harness to Win for the Nats? No, Josh, they are not banning anything for the Nats. It's not going to happen. Chris says, I hope it isn't in case I play my next Zeus build. Traveling Goof says, that's a new take. I know they're great and popular, but worth banning. And Merlin says, I will banish Harness and Transformation Trickery with my... yeah. If you remember, I tried that against you, Sean, and you stopped me. James says, yeah, you were the main X pusher. You're right. Holy cow, I can't believe I forgot all about that. I wanted it in the stores before Christmas. I think I forgot about it because they told me there was absolutely no way that was going to happen because they missed a print deadline. Hashtag ban shifts, says Josh. Carpe says, got to bring Van Helsing to Nats. You know, I heard that a lot after the regional. I'm going to look at Van Helsing. Skittle Daddy says, personally, Skybound right before Nats never made any sense to me. Merlin says, I wasn't using Harness or Transformation. What were you trying to get rid of? I don't remember. Wasn't it you that I played that against? Maybe it wasn't you. Maybe it was Chris. I don't remember. It must not have been you, Sean. Hey, Larry, happy Thanksgiving, buddy. We'll talk to you soon. So, anyways, Skittle Daddy says, finish the season with the same cards it started with. At this point, I don't think that's an issue. Traveling Goof says, I played VH. I didn't end up liking him nearly as much as I thought I would. Oh, that's too bad. Like I said, I don't think Skybound is going to be playable at Nats. So don't get too upset about Skybound and Nats because it's not in the cards, so to speak. Odds on when we'll get any LRG tourney videos released, as Ricky. No, we're not giving odds on that unless Marcel wants to contact the bookies and ask them. Diego says, happy Thanksgiving, my American friends, heading towards South Hemisphere summer. Hey, Diego, thanks for tuning in, my friend. We'll talk to you soon. Carpe says, I've loved Van Helsing. I got to run him more. I will tell you, at the Nats will be streaming 3 games every round if I have my way. I believe Robert's going to do one. Overpower Adventures is going to do one. And Overpower's going to do one. So we will be streaming 3 different games. We're going to work on a lot of stuff. We shall see. Oh, man. Van Helsing is solid. I think Van Helsing's pretty good, Merlin. But there's just so many other characters people want to play instead of him. Like the Three Musketeers or Robin Hood. It's always a lot of fun. All right, guys, we went a whole lot longer than I thought I would tonight. Thank you for tuning in and keeping the chat lively. Appreciate all you guys. Chris says, I don't want my only time on camera shown. Phil destroyed me. Chris, we've all been there, my friend. Diego beat me in 3 hands on camera. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. You all have a happy Thanksgiving, and we shall get together again next Monday night and maybe on Tuesday. So you guys have a great week. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.